Before we jump into today's show, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. The autumn cohorts for Start Your Podcast group program are now open. There are 5 dates between September and October, and it's a 6-week program that will get you launched before Christmas. So if podcasting was on your to-do list this year, if you really want to get your podcast up and done by the end of 2023, then come and join me for one of those cohorts and let's make it happen. I have a free masterclass available for you called Understanding the Power of Podcasting. You can go over to donnaeade.com/masterclass, watch the masterclass and get access to that enrollment. I hope to see you in one of the autumn cohorts very soon. That's donnaeade.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the show. You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and founder of the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. On today's episode, I have none other than your business bestie on the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Carli Wall with us, and she helps business owners just like you take their business to the next level. She helps you with improving the way you run your business so that you can earn more or work less, or a little bit of both. So let's jump into today's episode and hear what Carli has to share. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I hope you are well. I have a fantastic guest. I always say a fantastic guest, but they really are such great people to have on the show, sharing their knowledge and wisdom and business expertise. So today we have Carli Wall with us, and she's going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her background and what her business is before we dive into the main content. So welcome, Carli. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I'm Carli Wall, and my business is Synergy Business Success. I work mainly with people who run a small business by themselves from home. So whatever it is that you do that all by yourself. So you're everything in your business. And I act as kind of the business bestie. So somebody on hand to answer all your questions. So you when work by yourself and you're thinking, is this right? Am I doing the right things? Am I along the right lines? Do I need to be doing this? So-and-so says I need to be doing that. And you kind of absorb there's a lot of free help available, and it's all quite generic, and you sometimes don't know what you need to be doing for your business. And so that's what I do. So I've been doing that for just over 8 years now. So it's just that having somebody on hand to go, right, what do I do next? What should I focus my time on? How can I improve? Because you're excellent at what you do, and the business side of the stuff sometimes doesn't come so naturally, but it does to me. So it makes sense that we work together.
You know what? That is so true. And it's something that I have always said in business, which is part of what I started the society for, because I said as creative people, we are so good at what we do, but then the business side of things often falls away and we end up not replying to emails as quickly as we should. And we sort of forget that we've got things in the diary and we miss it and we start to drop balls. Not saying that everybody's like that, but it's kind of the creative brain that, we really want to be in the creative space all the time, and the business stuff is just boring to us. And with the exception of the planners, which are kind of quite logical, methodical people and like to sort of get down into the nitty-gritty of organizing everything, but as a photographer, I know a lot of photographers that are in the same boat as me. It's just like, I just want to be with my camera, and the rest of it is just like a needs must kind of thing. So I think that is so important to remember. And one of the other things is we are everything in our business. And I was listening to, I was at a networking meeting yesterday, and one of the ladies there was saying, if you are everything in your business, how can you expect to get anything done? And I was just like, light bulb moment. I was just like, it's so true, because when you are trying to be the marketer and you're trying to be the customer service and you're trying to be the accounts manager, and you're doing all of these jobs that usually in a corporate situation would have teams of people dealing with, how on earth are you supposed to move forward on your own? So I absolutely love that we have got you on the podcast today, Carli, because I know you're going going to drop some great nuggets of information for us. So what we're going to talk about today is 3 different systems that you can use in your business to help you streamline those business processes so that they can be easier and maybe automatic, so that you don't have to put as much effort into that side of the business, but it's still going to work for you. So Carli, can we start with number one top tip system that we need to be starting to implement in our business?
Yes. So number one that I'm going to go through is to help you with your emails. So there are a lot of businesses when it comes to the inquiry stage, or people scoping you out when they're looking at who they want to use, usually starts with an email phase. Sometimes it's answering similar questions again and again, and it's giving out the same information, and try and automate some of that and to make it a lot easier. So I've got two ways for that. First of all is use what you've got as your email system. So if you're using Gmail, if you're using Outlook, whatever you've got, is to create some standard responses. If the majority of your email exchanges in the early days are very similar, is create some standard responses. You don't send them out like that, but you would tweak it for each person. So you'd have the majority of it is the same, and then you would tweak it to suit their names, obviously, maybe the dates that they're looking at, or the package that they might be inquiring about, things like that. You don't need to be typing out the same things. It might help to have, if you find you're answering the same questions all the time, is to have a separate page maybe on your website with your FAQs, but still people will still ask those questions because it's the way people are. So to have some standard responses and use the email system that you've already got. The other way is to set up an email system using an app. Like 2 examples I'll give is MailChimp and MailerLite. They're probably the most widely used. You can always find somebody who uses one or the other and can help you answer your questions. And with that, you can create your own mailing list then, so people can sign up to hear more from you. It's quite good. So if you have got whatever industry you're in, if you can have some kind of checklist or something that they can download to sign up to your mailing list. So sign up for these top 10 things that you need to check out when you're looking for your wedding photographer, or whatever it is, they can download that and then they're on your mailing list. And then you can have an automated set of emails that go out that introduce you to them, let them know who you are, how you work, what you offer, and you can drip feed that out to them. And there's lots of wonderful things that you can then do. But as a basic system, that's how to get them onto your mailing list. And then they're there, and you can keep, if they haven't booked yet, you can just keep sending them more information, special offers, new packages, whatever. So trying to automate that email system in the early days of your exchanges with potential clients is something that can be quite a big time saver.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I would say there is I'm going to link one of my previous episodes where I was talking about mailing lists and things, because I think in the wedding industry, we often think that we haven't got time to sort of build a relationship with a bride, because it's something that's, I've heard in the online world. I'm a big Amy Porterfield fan, and she was saying I have people on my mailing list for years before they buy from me, but it's about nurturing that relationship. I'm like, well, you don't have that kind of time with couples. It's a finite amount of time you've got to book them, and a finite amount of time they're going to need your services. So you might think, there's no point in building a mailing list. But as I discussed, and as Carli's pointed out, it is a great tool for building relationships with people. And if you go to wedding fairs and you're getting all these email addresses, if you go home and you do nothing with them, you don't get any business. If you can put them into an automated system that's going to deliver them sort of 6 automated emails over 6 weeks, the chances are that some people are going to be clicking on that and looking into it, and you've got way more chance of then getting bookings than if you do nothing with that email. So definitely look into that. I use MailChimp. I've spoken about MailChimp before. It's a great tool. I've heard lots of positive things about MailerLite as well. So thank you for both of those, Carli, because they could really help people just sort of get sorted with that, because I think it is one of the things where we tend to drop the ball with following up and, engaging. And we think that we're bothering people. We think, oh goodness, they're going to be getting 50,000 different emails. Why are they going to open mine? Especially when it comes to when they're booking their weddings, because it's one of those things where they are literally going online and 10 photographers, 10 cake makers. They could literally have hundreds of vendors emailing them. And it's hard to stand out. But if they're coming to your website and downloading a freebie, then they are obviously interested in what you have to offer as a person. And if they are giving you their email at a wedding fair, you've already got a connection with them. So you've got a connection with them over people who they just send out a blank quote to, like, can you tell me XYZ? So use that to your advantage. It's a great tip. Okay, what's our next system we need to be implementing, Carli?
Okay, number 2 is I'm going to go for a booking system. So if you have an initial chat with, say, a potential bride and groom, if you're booking in, if you have an initial chat, or if you do like a free trial with them, if it's a sort of makeup based or whatever it is that you do, there's usually some kind of contact that you need to have with them, is to have a booking system. This makes it so much easier because they can book in at a time that suits them from what you've said you've got available, and it saves that either emailing out a list, well, this is when I'm available, and you give them 4 or 5 different days and times, and then they take 5 days to come back to you and say, well, I'll take Tuesday at 4. In the meantime, somebody else has took that, and then you've got to go back again. And so it's just that you will set up. So the 2 systems that I recommend for this, which again are the most widely used ones, I think, are Calendly and Acuity. You would put in there your availability or link it to an online calendar that you use. Mine's connected to my Google Calendar, for example. It knows when I've got spaces and it knows when I'm not available. So obviously it only offers the times that are available. And then I would send out a link for somebody to book that initial chat with me, and they book themselves in. The good thing about that is you can also attach a form to it and collect the information. So you might want to know if they've already booked a date for their wedding, if they've got any specific styles of something that they're looking for, or things like that. You can collect all that information before the call. So as soon as you are on that call, or as soon as you arrive at the trial or whatever, you've already got all of the information to hand that you would be asking them. And so it's nice to streamline it like that. That will also then send out reminders. So you're going to cut down the amount of sort of no-shows or things that you might have. So it sends out reminders. And something I like to use it for also is, it will, for me, the way I've set it up is it will automatically send out an email after the call or the session asking for feedback or review or whatever it is that we've done that I need to, and it will just link them to the form. If you're going to use it for feedback, don't just ask people to leave you a review or to leave you feedback, is send them the link to click on to do exactly that, because otherwise you're just leaving them to, I'll leave them feedback or a review, and then they go away and they've completely forgotten all about it. Is literally feed it to them, give them that link that they need to click on to do it. So having that booking system is going to save quite a lot of time on going backwards and forwards, trying to sort out a suitable date, time, collecting all the information you need for whatever that thing is that you need, whether it's initial chat, a trial, or to go through your packages or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I use Calendly and I find it really easy to use. And it's one of those things where you can actually have different settings. So if you're having your initial call, you can have like a 15-20 minute call with somebody, and you can have it set up to be a phone call. And if you wanted it to be the in-person meeting where you're going to, they've decided from that call that they want to actually sort of meet you face to face and have that conversation in more depth, you can set an hour-long call that is an in-person call, and you can do all of that with these apps, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, like you, Carli, mine's linked to my Google, and so I can literally set up, these are the times where I'm free to take calls, and then the rest of the time it doesn't allow it to book it into my calendar. So it's really, really useful, and I love the idea of being able to collect that information beforehand. That is like pure gold for you to be able to have that information. Do they have a date? Do they have a venue? What sort of time is their service booked? You can ask them all these questions in advance, so you can tailor what you're going to say to them based on where they are in their planning pathway, and then you can be a better expert for them, which is absolutely fantastic. Are there any sort of differences? Because I've not used Acuity. Is there anything that puts one over the other, different things that you can use?
They are very, very similar. So similar to the emailing systems. They're all very similar for me, because I used to use a Calendly and I changed to Acuity because there was something about it. I can't remember what it is now, but it's also to do with the integrations that it had. So my Acuity links up my account system. So when people book through there and they pay, it links it to the account system. And I think that must have been it at the time, is that Calendly did not have that link. So for me, it's looking at what I wanted to use it for and what else I wanted it to do, and then picking the one that was best for me there. Calendly is super simple to set up, and really, I think if you don't need it for anything much more than a simple booking system, Calendly is great, and I would still recommend that one as well.
Brilliant. Lovely. Well, that's a great tip, because I remember when I was a photographer, I did not have any sort of booking system. I didn't even think about it as being a thing that I would need or could utilize. And it's true. It just takes away that back and forth of when are you free, when am I free? And it can get it done so quickly. And that is going to look so much more professional to your clients and potential clients. It's not about, oh, I can't be bothered to talk to you about when I'm free. Here, click this link. It's about, here are all the times that I'm free. Please find one that suits you. And if you have any issues, then come back to me and we'll see if we can find another time. But it just looks so much more streamlined, so much more professional, and just takes away so many emails that I know people will be going through. And it's not just clients that forget to come back to you, but you will forget to go back to them as well. It's like, oh yeah, I sent that, I've given them dates and times, I'll wait for them to come back. Then they come back and say, oh, I can't do that time, or give you a time and you're booked for that, and you go, oh yeah, I'll reply to that. And then you forget, and then you've lost that client. So it just takes away all of that. So it's a fantastic point to make, and a fantastic system to have in your business. So what is our third and final system that we should be looking at? No, not the final one, because I'm sure there's many more systems that we could use, but the last one we're going to talk about today.
You can't limit it to just 3, but I do have a number 3. And once you start implementing systems like this into your business, you realise how much slicker it makes your business, you will constantly be looking for, what could I do next? So number 3 is using an accounting system, but not just for your accounts. So the reason I say using an accounting system is you can create your agreements or your proposals and collect your payments, etc., through them. And it's that making it easy to work with you. And that is sometimes we lose that aspect when our business becomes a bit more busy and complicated. Is make it easy to work with you and make it easy to pay you. So I use FreshBooks as my accounting system, so I would recommend that. There are lots of others. QuickBooks and Xero, I think, are the other widely used ones. So as an example of mine, I can create a proposal. I can lay out everything that I would agree with the potential client. We set out everything. So if you've discussed with them the date, the package that you're going to offer, any extras, whatever, you can put all of that in there. And you can also click to have them auto sign it. So when they receive it, instead of them printing it, signing it, scanning it back to you, because you've added extra steps in there, that they'll do that when they feel like it, or they may forget, is that they can read it and say, yes, I accept. They click the button and they'll put a digital signature on it, which is still legally binding, and that emails itself straight back to you to say they've accepted your proposal. That is instant. There's no having them fill something in or waiting for them to do something their end. You can then also collect a deposit if that's the way that you work, where you take a holding deposit or whatever, and then it will let them know when that's overdue. And the same for collecting the balance. It will send a reminder that the balance is due. You'll get a reminder of all of the balances that are due to be collected, so you can keep on top of it. But you can have that then set to send out reminders if it's overdue or whatever. And it takes that whole, sometimes chasing the money can be so awkward sometimes. It's your money, you're earning it, you're within your rights to chase that money, but it can be very uncomfortable, especially if you've got a real personal relationship with the couple that you're going to be working with. It's not nice sometimes to have to go, you was meant to pay me last week. Is take that all away, make it easy to work with you by having it all digitally. All they need to do is click that button and it's signed and it's back to you and all agreed, and make it easy to pay you by having those things go out automatically, and an online payment. If you ask for back payments, people say, I do make it for people to pay me. I give them my bank details so they can pay it. I mean, yeah, that's great, but you've added in an extra step then that you've got to rely on them to log into their bank when they remember or feel like it or get round to it. But if you have a link to pay online, that they can do that while they're there looking at it. So it's taking out steps that you don't really need. I get that sometimes you don't know what's possible. Now, with all of the systems that you could put in place, it's only great when you know that there's a system to improve what it is that you're doing. You don't know what you don't know. We say this all the time. And it's that, so sometimes it's about looking at what takes up a lot of your time and then trying to find something that fits that. And it might not be immediately obvious, but it will be to somebody else. I mean, when I'm working with somebody and they go, I struggle with this. And I think, yeah, well, you could use this then. And okay, well, I didn't know that. Now I do. Brilliant. So it's that I don't know how everybody does their agreements. Everybody would do them differently. But if you rely on people printing stuff or you're adding extra steps in for them, it's going to lengthen that time that it all takes to get it all signed and sealed and get that deposit in and get it all confirmed. So make it easy as possible to work with you and to pay you.
And each of those steps is an option for them to opt out as well. And that's what we don't want. We don't want to make it so complicated that they're just like, oh, this other person's made it so much easier to have these conversations with them up to this point. We'll just go with them because this is just too much faff. With the accounting software, is it possible to set up recurring payments through that for people?
Yes.
So, yeah.
With most of them. So as with all of the other systems, they're all very similar. And then it just comes down to if there's something really specific that you want it to be able to do, is check the one you're signing up for does that, obviously. But yeah, so you can set them for recurring payments. So if you have a payment package where they can spread the payments over 6 months or whatever, you can set that up. You can have them go through as a direct debit or have it as a recurring invoice that goes out, whichever way you want to do it. Basically, working out how each individual person works. Going, right, how do I work? How do I want this? What do I want it to look like? What would I love to automate of this? And then going, yeah, that system does all of that. Or sometimes it will present you with something that you don't know is possible. Like, if you didn't realise you could set up recurring payments on them, you see it, you're like, I don't know why I didn't do it before, but now I can. And it's always improving. You don't know what's possible until you look into it, and sometimes you find that one system then leads on to another one. You find that there'll be a bit of a disconnect between collecting all of these payments and everything, but then still going backwards and forwards, making, manual appointments with people. I think actually that could all connect up together. And then, so as I said before, once you start putting these systems in place, you're constantly looking to see, well, what else? What else can I automate? What else can I streamline?
I can see that. I can just see this sort of spider web in my head of all these different things that start to interconnect and things like that. But with the accounting software, knowing that you can do that, knowing that you can put your proposals together and send them out and have them agreed to, legally binding, obviously, you can send your contracts out through there and everything. So that would be so much easier to have that automated. And we've spoken on the podcast before about putting together a payment plan so that you have the correct money in your account should they cancel. So if you have got a payment term that says if you cancel within 3 months of the wedding, you lose 75% of the package price, because the likelihood of you being able to rebook a wedding in 3 months is highly unlikely, and so you deserve to be compensated for that. Then if you haven't got 75% of the money in your account at the time they cancel, you're not going to get that money back. Trying to go through the courts to get them to pay you for something that they haven't had is going to be near impossible. But if it's in your contract and you've got a payment system set up that's going to automatically ask them for money, and then come that point you've got 75% or more of their money in your account and they cancel, you can refund them any difference, but you're not losing out. So it's a really, really good system to implement, to have them automatically paying you on a monthly basis. And then once you reach those cancellation points, like I've said before, you then can shift the money that they wouldn't get back into your cash flow, and it's just going to start your cash flow moving a little easier, especially as we sort of come out of lockdown and weddings start to pick up again. It's easier to get some money into your cash flow by doing payment plans than it is to sort of do these larger deposits, which people would be unhappy about, which you can't put into your cash flow anyway, because deposits should be protected, and then try and wait for the balance further down the line. And people, I think, will be receptive to payment plans because it just takes off that sort of those big chunks that they have to pay at the end. So using the accounting software for that is a no-brainer to me. So that's a fantastic system. Thank you so much, Carli. I know those were 3 really, really useful systems, especially for the industry. So I think it will really help a lot of people to hear that from you as a specialist in the systems area. So that's it for today, guys. Carli, where can people find out more about you and how they can work with you?
My website is synergybusinesssuccess.co.uk. Everything will be up on there. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Both of them is synergy.business.success. Have a look at those. I know like some people like to follow you and scope you out and see what you're like before deciding to work with you, and that is completely fine. So you can do one of those. As I said before, it's sometimes just nice to have somebody just to ask questions and go, what is possible for my business? You all do what you do and you're excellent at it. That's your business. And it's sometimes useful to go, okay, right. Have you tried this? What about that? These are some suggestions for you. It's just that, taking you to the next level of your business with the stuff you didn't know that you needed and improving the way that your business runs and the way that you work. So that next level of your business might be to earn more. It might be to work less. It might be both. And, whatever it is, whatever success looks like to you and your business, that's what I do to help you get there. I've got a special offer for anybody that's listening.
Fabulous.
And so I'm going to offer 20% discount on one of my business boost sessions. So holding these online at the moment, so it doesn't matter where you are. And that's 2 to 2.5 hour online session. So it's 20% off. So that will be £96 instead of 120. I've got a link here. So obviously you can send that out rather than
absolutely.
Really complicated link. And there's a code and that will be valid until the end of November. So if you've listened to this and you've thought, I could do with some direction on the sorts of things that I can automate and the systems I can set up, and I don't know where to start and I don't know what's right for me, that's exactly what we can use that session for, is to go, right, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And then I will literally give you a brain dump of my thoughts. I will formulate an action plan and I will put it into a sensible sort of action plan for you to go away and work your way through.
Brilliant. That is absolutely a fantastic offer, guys. I would absolutely jump on that, and valid until November. So give me the dates for that, Carli, and I'll make sure it goes in the show notes. But the links will all be in the show notes. So if you head over to www.spwd.co.uk/blog, then all of the podcasts are there, and the one with Carli will obviously be there as well. And you can head into the show notes and get all of her links to Facebook, Instagram, her website, and this fantastic offer that she is offering for you guys. So that is it for this week. Please do hit the subscribe button where you listen, or scroll right to the bottom of the show notes and get onto the podcast mailing list so you don't miss an episode. And we will see you again next week. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.